Hello, friends. How are you today? I'm sucking on a antacid Tums. That's what people my age do. A little bit of anyway. At least I do. So anyway, it's remarkable. Take this out of my mouth. It's remarkable how much there is to talk about, and I usually try to pick things that are in our face, simple to understand, but that really aren't being understood. For years on Facebook, which has been for me, and I've said this already, but Facebook has been for me kind of a record of my thoughts, ideas. I do a lot of photos, try to combine the two to make my points, etc. So when people talk about, just as an aside here, when people talk about Facebook being social media, I just cringe at that, because if you were to look at my posts in the last 11 years, sure, I have fun on there. I'll post some memes that I think are funny. I'm a very lighthearted individual, to be honest with you, but the tenor of my Facebook post has been consistently for 11 years. So this isn't a boast, it's just, just telling you what it's been for me, has been about two things: evangelization, making the case that Jesus is the way, the life, and the truth, and that nobody comes to the Father but through Him. That's my primary thing. But I've also talked about, as an adjunct or an addendum to that, talk about the New World Order, because the Bible is very clear that in the last days you would have a satanic kingdom that would be ruled by the Antichrist and the false prophet. Those would be the two main characters that literally would run the world, and they would control the population through what's written about in Revelation 13, a mark in the hand or in the forehead. In. It didn't. King James says in, and that's the better translation. It's not on. And so, we've been chipping pets and people. Sweden has been doing this for quite some time. There's a company in Wisconsin last year that had 300 of its employees get chipped. So this is not. I get so tired when people talk about, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm reporting facts that you can ascertain on your own if you're not too lazy to do the work. Today, what does it take to search Google and try to find out the information? So no, this is going down. We're chipping our pets, we're chipping people. The conversation, if you Google ID 2020, this is Bill Gates's new project / company, whatever it is, and they're talking about basically doing inoculations and some type of, probably a microchip, inserted under the skin for biometric tracking. Okay, and this is what the Bible said in Revelation 13: the Antichrist and the false prophet, through lying signs and wonders, and through this device put in the human hand or forehead, is how they will control the world. And now, if you read articles, like I said, and there's been so many of them out there in the last probably 20 years at least, about the technology being available, being used, about it being promoted, et cetera, et cetera. You literally have to be disconnected from what I would call common reality to not know of this technology and the fact that it's being promoted, and also that when the New World Order, which is basically Satan's faux kingdom, which is a counterfeit of Christ's millennial reign, when that comes into fruition, which it's basically de facto in our face now, then of course the mark, just as the Bible said, the Bible's never wrong, will be implemented. So this whole brouhaha about what many people have called a plandemic, Trump said a storm is coming. Here it is. This is definitely the storm he was alluding to. It's all planned. Read conference or something 201 of October. And I believe Bill Gates was either, the guy that put that together, or he was a big part of that. Surprise, surprise. And I'm going to have to do the research, but I guess Bill Gates has been a eugenist for, he comes from a long line of eugenists. And basically, to put it simply, those are the people that think that there's quite a few people on this earth that just don't deserve to live according to their criteria. And if that's the case, it's just one more feather in my cap about Bill Gates being literally one of the drivers of the New World Order, obviously vis-a-vis technology. and just another feather in my cap, but he's a big player in that. So, but what's frustrating to me, and I've been warning, on getting back to the Facebook thread, is I've been warning about the propaganda apparatus in Germany was brilliant. I think Leni Riefenstahl did a lot of films promoting the Third Reich, and she was considered to be a very talented artist of sorts. Goebbels, probably pronouncing that name wrong, was, I think, the minister of propaganda who was a master of it. And there was a guy named, I think, Edward Bernays, that might not be pronouncing that right either, and I'm not sure if he was like a French theoretician or whatever, but he wrote a lot about the media, propaganda, its effect on people, etc. But anyway, what I'm trying to make is my simple point that Americans, and I've been saying this way before this COVID-19 hoax came on the scene, is that Americans are as susceptible, if not more so, to their own propaganda, which is basically the mainstream media and government narrative that's spun every day by Faux News, Fox News, CNN's, MSNBC, host of other outlets that I'm not even aware of, or dimly aware of, being spun every day in our living rooms, and every bit as much propaganda as in the Nazi Germany, and yet I cannot get people, even when all these patterns are coming to light that are very much in the process of biblical prophecy being fulfilled, even though these patterns are very obvious. Again, Google ID 2020, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's hard to get people to understand that this has been a planned event by the Brotherhood of Men, Masons, Illuminati. The Jesuits are a big part of this. The intelligence agencies, which are basically staffed by all the aforesaid, these are the drivers of the New World Order. They are not godly men and women. They're not Christians. They're working for the God of this world, which the Bible teaches is Satan. So anyway, when you see the world, and especially now, it's just so in our face and so obvious through biblical eyes, all of these disparate pieces that seem to confuse people are all beautifully tied together. And again, a lot of people like me that study the Word of God, and biblical prophecy as a part of the Word of God, we've been talking about the New World Order ad infinitum, okay? And we talked about the shape of it, what it'll look like, and I'll tell you what, the patterns we're seeing now are unmistakably NWO, or a fancy, so I can get my fancy Latin expression in Novus Ordo Seclorum, which, by the way, is on the dollar bill of the United States of America, as well as the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, blah, blah, blah. People have been, Thomas Warren wrote an imperfect book, I don't know of a perfect book other than the Bible, titled Apollyon Rising 2012, and there was a long subtitle to that, but in there he basically sketches out, using great quotes from like President Bush, Bush 1, Bush 2, Clinton, Henry Kissinger, the famous Mason Illuminati dude that, he's all about the New World Order, has a lot of expressions. One of them was, he referred to older people as useless eaters. Anyway, Horn uses quotes from these people, like Henry Kissinger on the stock exchange floor in January of 2009, either right before Obama's inauguration or right after, saying with Obama we finally have a chance to really put into place the New World Order. But every president is all about the New World Order. I've sent out a great piece by Shaking My Head's production where he he shows video clips of 4 recent presidents talking about the New World Order. So this is not conspiracy 101 stuff, friends. It's facts. It's in our face. It's in the news. You can check it out yourself. What I think is amazing is that people hide behind the conspiracy theorists. They like to label people like us that are actually reproving the works of darkness. We're exposing the works of darkness using facts and figures obtainable through even conventional media outlets to prove our case. But yet these fools, and I'm going to call them fools, they just, they put the label conspiracy, and then all of a sudden, then they walk away as if though they just shot us with a 45 and dropped us, and there goes our argument. And they, they're satisfied that So all they got to do is pin that word on us, and they've won the argument. And of course, the opposite is true. But, well, friends, I don't know if I'm out. I don't know if I'm in. But this has been Stevie from South Dakota. Thanks for joining me. Bye.